Hey guys, and welcome back to Unified Gaming. Now today I'm on my Magplar Templar. This is a PvP build I've been testing extensively in PTS over this cycle, so past 3-4 weeks of testing, Jill was changing it, so on. It's had about 4 revisions so far. This is kind of the best version that I've come up with. On the screen you would have seen the stats. The stats are very sort of all round in all honesty, so it's kind of got everything you need. And we're going to go through our sort of build video sort of layout, so skip through, find the bit that you want. The one thing I can say though before we jump straight in is that the armor setup is not what you would expect. So let's jump right in now. So with all my builds we start with the class first and race. So obviously I'm a high elf Templar. High elf best because obviously you got this passive down here. When you use an ability with a channel or cast time you take 5% less damage. So this obviously stacks on top of minor protection. So when you use jabs you get that 5% reduction on top of the minor protection, so it's just extra sort of defense. With that said, you could go Breton, gives you a bit more sustain. You could go Argonian for more healing and be more of a healer role. But High Elf is more of a damagey spec. All round is kind of what I went for. I also chose this because the spell recharge gives you better stam sustain, so you can use this in BGs. You could go with Dark Elf if you want to have a higher stam pool though. So now that we've had a look at kind of the race and the class, we're going to look at the skills. Now I'm going to start with the front bar. Obviously I'm going to just talk about what the skills are, and I'll just put over the screen kind of just the tooltips that are kind of what they are buffed up. Do note that the ones that are shown on screen are with the Apprentice Munderstone, so the spell damage Munderstone, so you kind of that's for more of a dual sort of setup, okay? But so obviously I'll go through that as we go through. But skill wise, Puncher and Sweep, Purifying Light, that's our burst ability basically. Toppling Charge, Stun, Vampire's Bane, really good dot. Major Prophecy, really useful, more crits. And then Execute, chose this one because it gives us more damage basically. Crescent Sweep, this could be swapped with Bat Swarm if you are a vampire, but I quite like this. It's good burst skill, it's instant, a bit like Dawnbreaker basically for a Templar. On the back bar, I have obviously Channel Focus, so just armor, and it also gives you sustain, so great. Honor the Dead, this goes with like 13k tooltip, ridiculously high, and that's not even near a keep. So yeah, it'll be way higher than that. Fully buffed and stuff is about 14.5, 15k tooltip, it's just disgusting. Structured Entropy, way too good to miss out this patch. When it's fully buffed, it's like 32, 33k dots. When you have continuous and stuff, it's horrible. Major Sorcery and also heals you. Kind of why wouldn't you? I'm using Race Against Time as my mobility skill. You could use Mistform if you prefer. This is really good though because it gives you obviously the ability to fight whilst you have this on you, and it also increases your crit damage. Higher crit damage means higher crit heals, so Honor the Dead when it crits can be even larger. I've had upwards of like 14k crit heals in duels, it's disgusting. And I'm using Extended Ritual just as a cleanse. It's really good snare as well. And then I'm using Remembrance as my ultimate. This is for group play. Obviously if you want to be a bit more solo, you could obviously change it for something else. You could even go with Nova. That's quite good because you can obviously use it for ult dumping. But as I said, I prefer this because it's kind of a good ult no button for your whole team, because obviously it can heal anybody in the team. Things like a 6-person cap, or it might be a 12-person cap, but it's really good skill. So those are the skills. Obviously feel free to mix them up as you see fit. This is a jack of all trades build, in all honesty. With that said though, you might have saw in my previous iteration of this I had many dots, so you can keep those on if you like. So you just simply just put on the dots. You can see the tooltips are really high anyway. So again, the dots are ridiculously high. You can put on obviously Reach, put on Soul Trap, you're good to go. Now for the armor, and this is the bit of the juicy bit, okay? With the bit that I think is a bit weird, and I've asked a few Templar mains as well, kind of what do they think, and not many people could work out what I was running. Well, actually nobody did. So starting from the top, obviously we are using Willpower. Now you could change this to Torx Pact. So Willpower just for more max magicka. I found having sort of 32k was kind of the minimum because you kind of need a big enough pool to actually cast the skills. Torx puts it to about 31k, so it's just a bit too low personally. So Lightning Staff, Lightning for jabs, Weapon Enchant, 2-piece. That's the only 2-piece got there. I'm running Transmutation. Defending, now this is quite a staple set for Templar for PvP, okay? Loads of people run this in PvP, but the sets that come up in a moment are a bit sort of unusual. As for the enchantment, just change it to whatever you want. It's just one that came on the weapon. Don't really care about it, to be honest. Poisons would be better. Using the Escapist Poison would be very good. Shield, make sure that obviously you have health on this, so you either prismatic or you actually have health. So the reason why you do that is because when you bar swap and you cast the cleanse, you also get a slight heal from it, which then procs transmutation. That then means obviously that you get the extra crit resist, and your crit resist goes to 4,500. It's absolutely disgusting. Makes you ridiculously tanky. When Bloodspawn procs, you're on 33k physical resist and 36k spell, so you're just incredibly hard to kill with a good health pool and really good damage. Bloodspawn, obviously, as lots of you probably saw in some of the footage, it tries to out on all the big pieces, full win pen throughout. Now the weird bit is I'm using Olorums, okay? Now Olorums is a really unusual set to use for a PvP damage Templar, but hear me out. If you actually look at the pieces, it's got recovery, max magicka if you have perfected, but if you don't worry, and then the actual courage buff. Now when you look at the courage buff, that's very, very similar to the sort of stats that you get from Julianus. The only thing you're lacking is the crit and one line of spell damage. With that said though, you get 2 recoveries, and because we're using transmutation we get another 2 recoveries, which means that solves all of our recovery, so we can then change any glyph we want without affecting the sustain, and we can change any Mundus stone we want. So it gives us loads of flexibility, which I really, really like on this build. So Olorums, for me, it was just a really good set because it pairs so well with transmutation. Obviously it won't proc now, but if I was in battle and I cast my heal, sorry, the cleanse, that will proc transmutation and Olorums at the same time. So I would gain obviously the spell damage, and I'd also gain the transmutation resistance. And this can apply to anybody in your team, which is just insane when you think about it. The fact that you can push one button and give all of your teammates 258 weapon and spell damage, which they can then buff with Major Brutality or Major Sorcery, so it becomes like 308. So when you say it like that, it's 308. It's pretty good actually. So I like that. So yeah, all sort of max to max magicka, try stat on the big pieces, okay? As for the jewellery, all infused. I tried protective, no. Protective was way too nerfed, and I even tried burn and spellweave, as you can see. Burn and spellweave was really good for the damage that it gave on the character sheet. In reality though, the upturn was so abysmal, it just wasn't really viable. Now I know obviously a lot of people go, oh, well, you got Vampire's Bane, you can use Destructive Touch, or if you want to use Stun, but we used a Lightning Staff, so we only really had one skill that proc this ability, and it just wasn't worth it. So for me, although this gave me higher raw damage, when you take the fact that you lose so much regen from obviously Olorums, because it obviously gives you 2 regen, you then kind of get to a kind of trade-off where actually Olorums is easier to keep up. It buffs the whole team. There's very little damage difference in regards to the actual tooltips. So with Burn and Spellweave, my jabs are going up to 4,100. Without the Burn and Spellweave, my jabs are 4,000. There's literally a 100 difference tooltip, and that's 50 damage if you take into account Battle Spirit, and then it's reduced by armor even further. So there isn't much of a damage difference. And for me, Olorums was just better because I can heal, I can buff the whole team, I can keep transmutation as well. So yeah, and what makes this really special is the fact that when you look at obviously the consumables, which we're going to jump into now. Now, because obviously we've used obviously 2 sets to give us loads of regen, we have free reign with both the food as well as the Mundus. So I'm using Tristat just because I like a really large stamp pool on my magic characters. That's just me personally. But I used obviously the Mundus stone kind of whenever I need it. So I said this is a very jack of trades build because of how I've changed it. My old build used to run False God, it ran Burn and Spellweave, and it ran Transmutation on the back bar with Willpower front bar. That was what you saw in the previous video. This pushes the same amount of damage, but it has way more sustain and way more resistance because obviously the set combinations. So the lady, really good because it helps get our physical resist up to 25k when we're inside the rune on back bar without Bloodspawn. So with Bloodspawn it's like 33k physical resist. So it just means we're incredibly tanky, and then with the stupid amount of crit resist we have on top, it just means that like with 33k physical resist and 4.5k crit resist, we can literally stand in the middle and hold our ground. You saw at the start of the video that I was fighting somebody, and that's a friend of mine. He was on the Stampton. He's running a meta standard build, so Fury, Bloodspawn, and Spriggans, I think it was. He also tried 7th as well, and in the videos I buffed him up as well, and he was only hitting me for 4 to 6k dizzying swings. He's not going to kill me with that. He couldn't burst me down at all, and I could turn around and one-shot him, as you saw in the clip. So this is a really well-rounded build, and I'm really pleased with kind of how it's came out. I'm going to obviously make it on live because I think it's a really solid setup. Consumable-wise, Tristat food, Tri-stat potions. You can use Essence of Immovability though, they're really, really good. If you are obviously wanting to go into BGs, what's really nice about this is you need about 2k regen, just change your munders. Because people hit less in BGs, and because you have so much crit resist, you can basically get away with obviously slightly lower physical resist, and as a result you can change your munders to be max magicka or to the magicka recovery, and then you keep the same damage, you have really good regen, so in BGs you just become ridiculously good. If you're in a duel, because you don't need as much resistance, if you want to actually nuke the person before they nuke you, change it to the apprentice, you then push over 4k spell damage. For a light armor build, 4k spell damage with 32, 33k max magicka, you are hitting people really hard. Now for the CP, stop the blues. This is what I've done. I've kind of min-maxed it as best I can. Obviously, taking into account obviously rounding and so on. So that's the CP. Obviously, feel free to slow it down. One thing I will say is resistant has been set up for if the transmutation is off. So if we forget to cast it, it's been set up to allow us to have 2,984 crit resist, which is like 44% crit reduction, something like that off the top of my head. So that's obviously been set for that. So when you cast transmutation, you could probably adjust it slightly to get even more mitigation by changing 1 or 2 points around when transmutation's up, but then obviously you'd have less crit resist when transmutation's down. So yeah, obviously feel free to obviously do it how you see fit. And then obviously over here, Elfborn, that could be adjusted a little bit if you wanted. Same with the erosion, but again these are kind of just general bits. So yeah, that's the CP. I hope you obviously like that. So that's it guys, that is my build. I'm going to just spend the next few minutes now just talking about the last section of the sort of build formula that I use, which I think is really important, and that's kind of your level of experience, the class and so on. Okay, so in this section obviously it's all about skill, experience and so on. So with obviously your skill level, that's kind of something you need to decide yourself. As for the class and the build, you need to understand what this is designed to do. This is designed to be a jack of all trades, very good in every area. Every area is really good, really tanky, really good sustain, really good damage. That said, you could probably push the damage a bit higher if you change some of the sets. You could probably push the sustain higher if you change some of the sets. You could probably push some of the healing higher if you change some of the sets. But so this is built from kind of a Cyrodiil open world where you can kind of do what you want, how you want, okay? Now, obviously there are limitations to that though. And obviously the big thing with Templar is obviously you have to be in melee range an awful lot. So obviously you need to have good resistance, which is why we use trans to try and kind of offset that. So it's almost understand that actually when you take this build, if you tweak it or change it, absolutely fine, but just remember that obviously things have been built how they are to obviously make up the weaknesses the Templar has. So I'm going to call it there guys. Now if you did enjoy this video, then obviously like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Lets me know that you really enjoy ESO, you want to see more content, and I will catch you in the next one guys. So take care, thank you for watching, bye.